A warm welcome to Wesley Impact. On the show today, I'm going to be reflecting on Jesus' transforming values. In the light of Foster Care Month in Australia, I'm going to look at the success of one of Wesley Mission's programs, Aunties and Uncles. And I meet a woman who's been part of the mentoring program's success itself. For Susie Wallace and her husband, the unrealised dream of having children of their own provided an open door to mentor and expand the life of other children and bring a brighter future. Susie's joined us to share more about the Aunties and Uncles journey, but also to speak about her own faith journey, which has led to a chaplaincy role to care for homeless youth in Sydney. Susie, welcome to the show. It's good to have you here.
Thank you.
Look, Aunties and Uncles is a very special programme at Wesley Mission. Tell us how you got involved.
Well, the reason I got involved, I've always had a great heart for the lost and the broken of this world. And it was actually a work colleague of mine. We were just chatting one day and he just told me that he was an uncle to this young lad, and that sort of got me very interested. And I went in and sort of the next day, I thought about it overnight. The next day I went and said, can I just find out more about this, please? I just loved what he was telling me.
And then it became something that was real for you. What did the experience teach you?
It's taught me quite a lot, actually. I guess I had no idea that there are so many children out there that really are needy, that have no idea about just normal life and living because they come from such terrible homes. And I guess when you've been brought up in a normal home yourself and been taught values and manners, etc., and now having had our little nephew, I realise that's not always the case.
And it's been a blessing for you to do it.
Oh, yes, wonderful. I've loved every minute of it.
And what would you say to somebody considering? Because I think there's a bit of nerves in this, and it's all right finding out about it, but it's a big step to say you'll do it, isn't it?
Well, it's a huge step, especially for my husband Cliff and I. I mean, we don't have children, so really it was a huge thing for us to take on. But you know what? It's so worth it, because just to see this little guy growing and just sharing time, I think time, giving them time and our love is the biggest thing you can give any of these children. And
it's different than just the love for a partner and a husband and a wife. It's just a totally different way.
Totally different. You know, and he comes along and he's hugging us and you can tell that he just loves being in our company.
Yeah.
Just great.
Yeah, look, so I want to talk in a minute or two about your wider life. As everybody can tell, it's a Queensland accent, isn't it, really?
I think you're not very good at geography there, Keith.
That's right. Not far from where I go.
Not far from where you come from.
That's right. Love it. And your story is here now. You've been here now nearly...
I've lived in Australia 27 years.
That's right. You can tell the accent just stays. It's so... No, but we're going to come back and see something of your own journey here in Australia, and then that journey into chaplaincy care. So before we move on into that area here, I'd like to introduce today's performer, Greg Atwells, who's a worship leader who's passionate about depth and intimacy of the Christian music of old. He's added his own flavour to a favourite hymn for many Christians. Here's Greg singing Turn Your Eyes Upon Jesus.
Oh, soul, are you weary and troubled? No light in the darkness you see. There's life for a look at a Savior, and life more abundant and free. Through death into life everlasting, He passed and we followed Him there. and the things of earth will grow strangely dim in the light of His glory in Christ. His word shall not fail you, He promised. Believe Him and all will be well. Then go to a world that is dying, His perfect salvation to tell. Turn your eyes upon Jesus, look full in His wonderful face, and the things of earth will grow strangely dim in the light of His glory in Christ. In the light of His glory in Christ.
To commemorate 200 years of faith and pioneering care in Australia, Wesley Mission has released a publication documenting its work in the community.
Everyone needs a little rest. Everyone needs a little joy.
For more information on today's people, today's story, you can contact us on 02 9263 5555 or email us at impacttv@wesleymission.org.au.
And if you'd like to know more about Greg Atwells and his album Indie Hymnal, details are going to be on the website all throughout the week. Susie, you moved from the UK, from Scotland, out to Australia in your 30s, and life took a bad turn.
It did. My gorgeous mum used to jet set back and forward because my brother's in Australia, so she'd come and spend so many months here and so many months back home. And she took a massive stroke and was left all paralysed for about 5 years. So that's when, unfortunately, I turned to alcohol and prescription pills, and I got very addicted to them for about 4 years.
And how did you get your way through that?
I'll be honest, if I hadn't Jesus in my life, I just reached out. I didn't know where to turn, and fortunately, I was one of the lucky ones that didn't end up on the streets or wherever. I sort of could see my rock bottom before I got there, and I cried out to Jesus for help. And that's when I first got involved with the Salvation Army.
And they were offered practical help to you?
Oh yes, practical help, and I started attending church there, and even although my faith wasn't that strong then, I had Jesus to hold on to, and He walked with me.
Now, then you actually, and in a sense this is putting together your whole story, you became a volunteer in the homeless space,
I did.
Didn't you, for 7 years or so?
I did. I've been working on the streets as a volunteer, working in the inner city of Sydney with the homeless and the sex workers around King's Cross and Woolloomooloo area. And I was quite happy doing that until a couple of years ago.
So what does that involve? What were you doing as a volunteer?
Well, just my main ministry was connecting with them. You know, lots of these people, they don't need food or anything. There's plenty of food vans out there in the street. I like the ministry of sitting down with them on the ground or getting down to their level and becoming their friend. You know, some of them just need somebody to talk to.
And you build relationships up with
yes.
people over a period of
Yes,
time.
it takes a long time to break that barrier with some of them, but I've built up some amazing relationships.
Did what happened to you, your life in a sense, imploding, was that one of the factors that really fed into you wanting to do this?
Looking back, probably yes, because you know, I can relate to a lot of these people on the streets. A lot of them have their addiction problems, whether it be alcohol, drugs, gambling. Not that I've had any of the gambling or drug addiction, but, you know, I can kind of relate to where they're at. And I think, you know, once I get to know the people, I do share a little bit of my story, because then that breaks down that barrier, which is terrific.
So you're attending your local Salvation Army Citadel, you worship in there regularly.
That's right.
But it's a step further to do what you're going to do now, isn't it? You've just, in the last weeks and months, begun working full-time.
That's right. A couple of years ago, the Lord put it on my heart to work full-time doing this work that I'm doing on the streets. And I actually decided, okay, I'll need to do some studies. So I've been attending college and I've finished my chaplaincy course. And I've just started a week ago doing work full-time as a chaplain. So, but working with the younger generation, the 16 to 25-year-olds, the homeless kids.
So when you go to college, you're not just studying theology, you're studying how to relate to people in those particular...
Correct. It's a chaplaincy course which covers a wide variety of things, and it's just been an amazing study. I've loved every minute of it. And I guess with that, plus my experience of 7 years on the street, hopefully it's going to allow me to just be, you know, work well with these street kids that I'm going to be working with full time now, which is wonderful.
And how will it change your life at home? Gosh, because, I mean, you're not out at 4 in the afternoon or 2 till 4 in the afternoon, are you, doing this?
That's right. I mean, I've come from a totally different environment. My full-time job before was in medical, so this is totally different. But I'm so ready for the challenge, and with Jesus by my side, I know that I'm going to love every minute of it.
And your husband supports you in what you're
Very
trying to do?
much so. He supports me 100%, which is just wonderful. Just wonderful.
What do you think the biggest challenge of it is?
The biggest challenge, I think, I mean, these kids have had horrible, horrendous backgrounds, horrendous lives. So I think giving them my time and just unconditional love, you know. We can't go and change their lives for them, but we can offer them give them choices. You know, they all have a choice. We all have a choice. And just to be there for them is the biggest gift we can give them, I think.
And if you could have imagined when you were at the lowest point, when you were in that place of where alcohol had a part of your life, could you have ever imagined yourself in?
Never in a million years, never, ever. Because the place that I'm working at now full-time as a chaplain is the place that I first walked into when I was at my lowest, you know, my lowest age. So, I mean, the Lord has just turned my life completely around. It's just wonderful.
Look, Susie Wallace, it's great to talk to you.
Thank you, Keith.
And I wish you well in that new venture and
you.
all that means to you, especially helping people who are sleeping rough and in those positions. We'll be back for more in a moment.
It's been 200 years since the first Methodists met in Australia. To celebrate 2 centuries of faith and pioneering care, CEO and presenter Reverend Dr. Keith Garner takes us back to where it all began.
But we don't begin here at the heart of London. We begin in a town in the north of England.
In this fascinating narrative, Reverend Garner chronicles the history of the life and times of the founder of Methodism, John Wesley. This fresh and thought-provoking documentary takes us on a journey throughout the United Kingdom, beginning in John Wesley's hometown of Epworth.
John Wesley was born here on the 17th of June, 1703.
This 1-hour DVD travels onto his education years and beginnings of social justice in Oxford, to his final years in London. For more information on John Wesley, the man and his mission, call 02 9263 5555 or email us at impacttv@wesleymission.org.au.
At Wesley Mission, there are 178 children waiting for an aunt or uncle to come alongside them and expand their quality of life. Sowing into upcoming generations and offering support, encouragement and a listening ear can make a world of difference. Our camera crew went to Wesley Mission's Vision Valley recently to a celebration picnic to capture the heart of aunties and uncles community. Let's take a look together.
Well, before Wesley Mission came along as our fairy godmother, we were in dire straits. Aunties and uncles would have closed after nearly 40 years. And probably about 5,000 children have gone through the program. So, and it's a great program because it keeps the children in the family.
I've got family, but hadn't spoken to them for 20 years. And the girls needed family, and also my mum passed away only recently 4 years ago, so I needed something more for the kids. So yeah, so I sort of like Googled them and the internet, and off I went. I mean, our world now is totally different. I mean, we're reattached also with my family, so we've just got this massive family base now, which is really good, and they're beautiful people. We love them. I mean, they look forward to every visit, you know, and I mean, I suppose it gives us a break as well, and they get to enjoy different things, and I wouldn't have life any other way now. It's beautiful.
They're just great fun to be with. They're full of activity all the time. They're on the go all the time. And we really have fun.
When I first joined Aunties and Uncles, I wasn't even sure whether I'd be accepted because I was an older person and I was single, and you know, it was all about families, but I really don't think that matters. This has been an added dimension to my life, definitely. A lot of joy, absolute lot of joy. Yes. She's the niece that I don't have.
She means a lot. She's absolutely wonderful. We've been so many places and I've learned so much from her. Yeah, it does give you a lot of self-esteem and confidence, knowing that you have got someone there, and it's also another sort of moral support branch that you've got there. So, you know, in case your mum or your dad isn't there, I'm really happy that the Wesley Mission did take over it, because it's giving the opportunity to other young people and all the children and that to have another person there for them and to make them feel really special.
Now, in the Sermon on the Mount, Jesus offers a whole new way of life. He resists what might be considered the accepted norms. And I'm going to read to you from Matthew 5, and I'm going to read 38 through to 42. An eye for an eye. You've heard it said, eye for eye and tooth for tooth. But I tell you, do not resist an evil person. If anyone slaps you on the right cheek, turn to them the other cheek also. And if anyone wants to sue you and take your shirt, hand over your coat as well. If anyone forces you to go 1 mile, go with them 2 miles. Give to the one who asks you, and do not turn away from the one who wants to borrow from you. Now, I suppose you could say there's a logic about retaliation and damage, and that kind of logic upholds war and judgment. One of my notable predecessors took the line that pacifism was the way for the Christian, and it was viewed at the time by many, many people. This was the time of Vietnam and so many of the things that were happening around the world as being, oh, terribly wrong. We shouldn't be talking about these things. But you know, when you read the teaching of Jesus, it's quite clear that the way of retaliation has never won anybody anything that's good. It's the way of transformation, not retaliation, that exemplifies and points the way to the way we react and respond to human need. It becomes the way in which we live our lives. And in this particular passage, what Jesus says to people, he's cutting across, if you like, what might be the accepted norms, the kind of thing that people said, this is how you do it. When people aren't fair, well, you're not fair back to them. When people hurt you, you hurt them back equally as strongly, if not more so. But Jesus offers that other way. This isn't a soft way, it's a tough way. To actually talk about eye for eye and tooth for tooth, well, that's the easy way. That's just the way of retaliation. But it is a very powerful way, if somebody slaps you on one cheek, to offer them the other also. It's transformational in that it challenges. That way of Jesus challenges people about the way that they are going to live their life. And it's very interesting that when we have this gathered teaching of Jesus that we call the Sermon on the Mount, that when Jesus taught the crowds on the mountainside, he offered them a new way. This was the way of the kingdom of God. And it challenges our perceptions, challenges our preconceptions about life. And I think that that way of Jesus is still going to be challenging in our world today. Give to the one who asks you. Gosh, we live in a world which says, make sure nobody gets anything out of you that you really can't give them. And then talks about not turning away from people who want need and have need and turn to you for help. Well, really, it's so important. We listen to somebody who's working in the chaplaincy care of the homeless, in that space where we see young people, and it's young people in particular that she's working with, young people whose lives have already caved in. I was asked recently by a journalist talking about the whole business of homelessness, some questions about homelessness, and the saddest thing I said for me is that people have given up on life too young. It's not a case of we've lived life, we've got to the end of our life and we're giving up. People at 16 and 17 haven't given up on life. Life's hardly just begun. And the way in which we're going to change the world in which we live is to offer a new and radically different way of living. And we can do that because Jesus did that. It's no wonder that the end story of his journey is the cross, because people rejected it. People didn't want it. But you know, it's the only way that works. It's the only piece of the jigsaw that helps us to see the picture as it really is. And we need ourselves to grasp that spirit. You see, I've written in my own notes, it's the basis of generosity. Generosity of spirit is certainly one of the things that is the basis of all real and good community. It's the basis of a meaningful culture in which we live. And some of the best of our Australian life is seen when we react not with retaliation, but with generosity towards people. Not by shutting people out, but by counting people in. Not by saying that when people turn to us for need, we ain't got anything, mate, but rather reaching out to offer something better. I know it doesn't fit. And I know in these months when we're so caught up in election talk and we're so full of those things that are political ideals, Jesus offers something that radically challenges all political ideologies. He offers something that is meaningful and powerful about life. Are you prepared to take his teaching seriously? Are you prepared to not only take his transformational way, but be transformed by his way? It'll make such a difference to the way you live and the way I live. And once it takes a hold of us, we not only act generously, we become generous in everything that we do. May God grant us an understanding of his word in our lives day by day.
If you would like to know more about today's topic or for more on Keith's message, contact Keith by writing to Wesley Mission, Post Office Box A5555, Sydney South 1235. Or email impacttv@wesleymission.org.au.
Many thanks for joining us. I hope Susie's story encouraged you. It's a wonderful journey of transformation. We leave you with Jordan Warner singing, I Have a Plan for You. See you next week, and until then, goodbye and God bless you.
I watched an orphan boy fall to the ground, hiding his tears in his hands. The weight of nobody returning for him, too much to understand. And questions of why circle round in my head. Doubt starts to deepen in me. But you've made a promise that you have a plan, and I need to trust and believe when you say you have a purpose for all you've made, that you see us, your heart it beats for us. I hear you say that I have a plan for you. I have a plan for you. You were chosen and loved before you even knew that I have a plan for you. Oh, a beautiful plan for you. Sometimes the weight of the world closes in, and sometimes it's hard to believe that no circumstance, present, future or past, is ever beyond your reach. Oh, when you say you have a purpose for all